Dooby dooby doob. Yeah. Okay. So that will be the update to OBS that had mucked Black the Bod.
Okay.
He's back. Hello, people. All right, let's do a name call. Let's do a check. J Frap, Festek, Tall and Happy, Soup World, Quacks, Normal Mont, Total Random Stuff, Massey. Oh, and Black the Bod. Why is he Black the Bod? Is that like Rob the Swan? All right, guys. Yeah, so what you missed was me talking about just how damn handsome I am, and clearly the most handsome sexy of all of the game dev streamers, including the women. Right. Hello, iRazor. All right, mate. Well, so what have I learnt? Funny story about that names take up to 6 months to be added back to the pool of available names. Oh man, that sucks. It has working water. Well, I could talk. Right, so what have we got? First of all, I've got a massive swelling on my leg. So every time I go into the garden, it's summer, I get bitten by mosquitoes and stuff. That's okay. That's okay. But one of them has come up. Let's see if I can show it. Of course, that's why you joined a game dev stream, to look at my leg. Look at that. That is a bulge on my leg. That's just a bite. Ugh. So, right, let's go and change camera. So, yeah, I've talked about doing stuff in the garden, and now I'm thinking of building a raised pond. That's a little one, tiny little one, only about that big. But, staying for Rob rather than the cat. Yeah, well, Teasel's out in the sun, so I don't know what time she's going to join us. And you want diagrams anyway. But yeah, so I might actually get I might actually develop real water before coded water. All right, so what am I up to? Well, so let's do a kind of a check, because if I was going to do diagrams, I would have actually set up I would actually have set up the pad, the tablet, but I didn't. Yeah, so effectively, I've been doing a bit extra on my contract job, but in general, here's a news flash for you all, right? Right, so that's a not so unexpected outcome. Hello, Skello. All right. Love them lots. Right, because basically I've been kind of unwinding a bit and stuff. And the Unity stuff was fun, but it was also untargeted at that point. So I kind of been doing not much, and I actually feel much better for it. Yeah, I mean, I have the flexibility to kind of do within reason what I want. But as it turns out, I said on thingy. So my personal life has changed a bit because Jodie is probably jealous. Yes, she is. Yes. Sorry? Jealous of me working 3 days a week? Huh? No, she's mumbling. I can't hear her. What's that, Jodie? Yeah, she loves me. You guys can't validate that she said that, and she might have been saying call the police, but she didn't. And what was I saying? I can't remember. Oh yeah. Okay. So my personal thing. So what's driving this? So what's on my mind? on my mind. 1, money. 2, how to get a satisfying game out quick. Alright. Oh, hello, Doomsaw. Alright, man. Well, I think as you, in terms of companies, some companies clearly are better than others. But as you become more experienced and stuff, you're kind of more, you can be more in charge, right? So, source of my money is contract and any games I release. Contract is guaranteed and immediate. Right, so I was going to say, what's changed in my personal situation? Well, I've kind of come to the conclusion over the past month that I probably need to help my mum buy a house, right? Not a house, a flat in a retirement home in an assisted living thing. Bankruptcy, yes. It's pizza and coffee, right? Yeah. Well, actually, what did I do there? So basically, for my day job, I'm using a Mac. What makes it satisfying? Out quickly. People like it. Anyway, yeah. So from being in a very financially secure situation, I now have to actually. Like my contracting and working for myself doing diorama has actually caused a problem, because it means that I'm struggling to get a mortgage because I don't have X years of guaranteed income. Even though I'm earning double what I was before, then it's now a problem. That's a bit silly. So the things I can do in the short term to boost my income, they're going to look good, right? Out quickly, people like it. It has a good story / gameplay. Well, I've done it again. Sorry, Mac keyboard shortcuts. Oh, it's all going wrong. Maybe even buy it. It does some social good. Yeah. Okay, that's and/or gameplay. Oh, flipping heck. Watch as I struggle with this. Yeah, well, that's why I've done and/or there. So, right. Anyway, so I needed to take time off. I took time off streaming, and this is all feeding into the looking at Unity. Thank you, Pimialis. Thank you very much. And Rob is drunk. And in my mind is I need to concentrate, or I needed to have full energy on the things that made me money, which was the contract. So I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good right now. Also joined a gym. Also got Tough Mudder in under a month. Also going to do a half marathon a few weeks after Tough Mudder, right? So I've got so fitness stuff is looking up. So fitness is looking up. Woohoo! So that's a good. Improves mental health / happiness. Unlikely to die really early on Jodie. Right, that's great. Thanks, Bay Holland Ali. Bay Hall and Ali. I don't know which one. So, right. So that's so. I think that aspect is kind of taken care of. So games I release aren't going to make me any money in the near future. That's irrelevant, right? So the thing is, right, is it's not guaranteed that I will carry on with diorama as it stands, right? And I'll be blunt, the chances are I won't. Hello, Ballinger. Like, you have to convince yourself things are good. Well, I think I think you're actually partly right. Okay, so I'm fairly philosophical about stuff, so I know that I'm in a good position, right? I do, and yet at the same time, it doesn't stop me, the slight introvert or whatever, going, "Oh, things could be better." And you know, is the glass half full or half empty? Well, what helps is a bit of perspective, and that's not just a trick. You know, it is actually a good thing. I'm feeling good right now. So I could list the negatives. I always ache. Psoriasis isn't ever going away. What else? I'm injuring. Oh, Fatnik just subscribed. Oh, thank you very much. I'm injuring myself exercising a lot, or regularly. So, Fatnik, once Teasel turns up, I don't know if you subscribed before, but we will do total random stuff. Thanks for that. I'm not really sure if that's like a special move on Mortal Kombat or a philosophy of life. A subscriber means I need to continue Diorama now. Well, this stream is just about talking things through, and I find that interesting. You don't have to. I don't care about you or you. Right. If the glass was full, you just sit there and wait to die. Art Hitcher, thank you very much for following. Right. So negatives. What else? Scared of getting old. So I can do all of these psychological things, and I don't mind admitting them because I do keep them generally a bit in perspective. But you know, there are times when you have ups and downs. But the thing is, real perspective, I'm in a great position, right? So educated, healthy, generally, yes. You know, Orby, oh man, thank you very much, man. 10 months. Whoa. Whoa, 10 months. That's amazing. Am I even that old? Yeah. So we've got 2 Teasel parties. Jodie, send Teasel in when she's ready. She didn't hear me. All right. I'm in a great position. That is absolutely true. I have so many plus points. It's not true. But being in a good position and feeling always happy aren't the same things. Right. Now, what I've managed to do over Diorama is, you guys who've been watching for a while, people like Orby, obviously we've been... you spotted me having ups and downs. There's been a couple of periods where I haven't really streamed much and I've needed to kind of get my head in gear, realign myself. Motivation stops. And the thing is, if I hadn't been streaming, it would have been so much worse. Would have been so much worse on my own. But, you know, I've got things. I've got my office that I go to do my other work. I joined the gym and I've been swimming a couple of times. So, yeah. So, that's the actual truth. And the idea of this source of my money is contract and having to buy a place for my mum. That's a concern, but it's not a worry, right? So that's not that stressful. A few little things, changes, and worrying more about my contract makes that'll be resolved. When it comes to making a fun game quickly, you can't rely on story much, if at all, and focus entirely on gameplay. So, well, here's the thing, right? So, number 2, what makes it satisfying? Right, so, big point here. If I decide I'm not worried about making money... Oh, I've done it again. Money with my game. What does that disable? Okay, so positive can do whatever you want. Woohoo! Experimental stuff. Short games, etc. Minus lack of focus. I don't know, stuff like that. So there's pros and cons. Hello, Duts. Hello, Vortex. All right, dude. And Tippy. Hello. All right. Poitida. You'll have to tell me how to say that. Anyway, hello. Thanks for following. Right. So this experimental stuff, right? So let's go over this. Let's sort of analyze diorama. Why did I do diorama the way I did, and choose it? Okay, so in terms of plus, saw huge gap in huge market for it. I liked C++ and I had done bits of it before. What else? So I'm not going to do plus and minus. Things will crop up, right? Oh yeah, that was it. That was it. Whoa, plus. It's satisfied. This is the one I was talking about in my last stream. It's a bit weird to get across. It was supposed to be the best water simulator. Yeah, I failed on that one, didn't I? It satisfied my my pointless C++ is bestest language and I'm good at it pride. Now, that's a weird thing to write, but it's definitely there. That's why we have discussions over best operating systems, best languages, best games. Everyone's involved. It's a bit of yourself in that. And what we you know, we align ourselves to certain things and it gives us family, happiness, whatever it is, right? So what am I writing? Migo Twitch. I'm just going through where I'm at. So I've spent, I guess, coming up to 2 years on a project, diorama, and it's at a reasonable state, but it's nowhere near where I wanted it to be after 2 years. So I'm taking stock of everything, right? So I don't believe in the sunk cost fallacy, and so I'm evaluating all of my options. And that's what this stream is about. It's not coding, it's not making a game, it's talking about what happens next. And so you guys can help. C++ is one of the worst languages ever. C# is a great language. C++ is also a great language. But yeah. So don't have a link, but I'll give you an example. So you have position variable systems. Hungarian would be calling variable fx and apps. Hungarian would be calling say variable ix for local and wx for world. Oh, okay. So you're talking about what it is, right? If you decide to use C#, please use Monogame and not Unity. Well, what I need to do, so if I look at what is negative about diorama, slow, very, very slow to develop. I consistently get dates wrong. Like, way wrong. Length of time equals drop in motivation. Right, so you might want to look at Rust if you're kind of low-level programming like C++, yeah, might do. Well, so that's one of the points, right? So why do I do C++? It's because I associate myself strongly with lower-level languages. It has done me well in the past, but does it make sense now? I am strongly coming to the conclusion that no. I can be equally good quality, high level game dev. Alright, so there we go. That's just a general Unity hate. So I looked at Unity and it was... Oh, hello, Cassiopeia. Oh, sorry, I did even read your comment. I didn't check who wrote it. Sorry, mate. And hello, Let's Race. Monogame is a framework. Unity is an engine, yep. So then we have questions. I mean, like an obvious question in terms of speed. Right, out quickly. This is a really big deal to me, right? Now, Why? Because when we're talking about development, I've talked about my past, about managing teams, about big projects, little projects and stuff. And what is my design philosophy or development philosophy? And I believe in extreme programming, agile development, right? Not extreme. That's a specific implementation with certain aspects, but kind of prescriptive. Whereas agile programming, the methodology, it's a high level approach, right? And it talks about always have a working product, quick iteration cycles, that kind of thing. And then there are certain ways of doing it, like Scrum, that kind of talk about how to get there, right? Now, I absolutely believe in the philosophy, and Diorama is absolutely not working out at all like that. So, okay, so Diorama does not equal agile development. So, agile development, if I choose to do short things, then the cost of a mistake is reduced. So, Rob Lester came up with a point and says, so question, why don't I just every week make a new game every 2 days in Unity? He suggested, so can learn stuff about it and build up knowledge of Unity until decided better. Decide later what exactly to do. Right, so that great idea, but are those details exactly what will keep me happy? I don't know. Like doing a game every week, that's not a bad idea, right? The first one's going to be crap, second one will be crap, third one will probably be, and then by the fourth one, it will be Half-Life 3, right? So why am I set on Unity? No, Jad Onyu. So I'm not set on Unity. What I'm looking at are alternatives to how I've rolled my own engine before and what are the pros and cons. It's just that Unity is a great first starting point, right? So will I ever look at Unreal Engine? Yes, probably. Will I guaranteed do everything in Unity? No. Well, one game every week, no diorama anymore. Well, so good thing about doing multiple short projects is I don't have to predict the future. Right. So doesn't rule anything in or out, and yet while not making concrete long-term decisions, I'm making good progress along the way, right? Kind of back to the agile philosophy, right? Just keep things working, keep being productive. You're learning stuff all the time. The cost of failure is low. That's great. Also, have you looked at how much time you're realistically available per week, month? Well, oh yeah, talking about Half-Life 3, Mark Laidlaw released plot of Half-Life 3. Yeah, I sort of read something about that. I didn't realise. I thought it was. Well, you guys tell me. I don't actually know what that deal was. I didn't realise it was potentially the actual script or whatever, the plot line from Half-Life 3. I thought it was like almost a fan fiction thing. But okay. All right. So Vortex said, Whale, that seems a bit too overcorrected, but sure. Say a game every month, as in game is out on multiple stores. Yeah, I mean, anything I do in the short term will just be free. It won't be on Steam. There's no point to do that. JFRAP, what I've learned is that clean code does not equal fast development. I've always tried to do things slowly with systems and such, but more often not doing it dirty can give faster results. Well, exactly. But JFRAP, I've talked before about this time to chaos, right? Where an individual coder, based on his experience and ability and the scope of the project, hits a barrier where they mess things up in code and take too many shortcuts and are ignorant about the right way of doing things, and things reach a critical mass and progress becomes prohibitively slow. I don't think I've kind of hit that at Diorama. It's just that things are generally slow because it's quite complex. If you're writing games that only take 2 days or even like a few weeks, right, then the code quality can be rubbish. That's okay. It's actually suitable, right? Yeah. essentially released a 3-page letter from Gordon Freeman to the player detailing the events that would have happened in episode 3. I don't actually think it relates to Half-Life 3 though, because it ends on a bit of a cliffhanger. Right. It was gender swapped and edited version, but if you change the names, okay. They can see your foot there, Jodie. It's just there. Yeah. Do you want me to put their camera down so you can walk past? No, they can't. They can't. Unless I do this. Chuck you the camera. What are you trying to say? What, are you trying to do that? Yeah, we love each other. Yes, that's good. There you go, Jodie. Jodie's hiding around the corner for some reason. She's doing that thing that she does, which is called being alive and weird. Right. I'd tell you the plot, but it's well worth the read. Okay, I might, if it's only 3-page long as well, I might read it. I was worried. That's why I didn't chase it. I thought, it'd be a fanfic. It'll be like a 3-week read or something. Right. But for Diorama, it would have been a shit show. Yeah, and Diorama's code was actually in pretty good shape. There were areas that were worse, but they were small, rarely touched. You know, an appropriate level of depth. And we eventually got there with the component system and stuff. Yeah, Diorama was all right code. It was. So let's chuck. Let's talk about. So what ideas? So okay. So in terms of satisfying stuff, let's continue with the brain dump. Satisfying. I can't even spell it. I linked to the corrected story on GitHub. Oh, okay. Okay. So look. If you want to look more at, you can obfuscated names. Gertie Fremont. Yeah, that was well done. Yeah, Ellie Vaughant. All right, I'll have a look at that. Why not try and make some mini games with Diorama, like release Tiny Galaxies standalone? Yeah, that's a possibility. I guess there's definitely a part of me that wants to take a break from Diorama, right? Because I think I'm too close to it at the moment. Yeah. No, let's race. Yeah, the ink will be subpoenaed to appear in court, and it will leave the page, and then you'll never have it. It'll go. Did I do QA work on Broken Sword 3? Grachev says, hello there. Notice Rob Sonic. No, there's if you go to Moby Games, there's some other Robert Swans around as well. By the way, I don't like Moby Games because they gave me some crappy responses on when I was updating games that I'd worked on. They got really arsey with me, and I was deeply unhappy. Let's go and have a look. How many Robert Swans are there? There's a Robert David Swan. That's not me. There's more actually than I realised. Rob Swan. Let's go and check these guys out. So he's a design writer, art graphics, quality assurance, global effect. So he looks interesting. He's certainly worked on more than I have, but not recently. Then there's me. Oh, someone's put a little. Who the hell who put those in? Yep, that's pretty much it for me. There's probably some others. I just can't remember. Who put that in? Bless. All right, so that was 2010. My gosh, Motocross James Pond 2. Oh, that's cool. I wonder if I should track down all the Rob Swans. And there's another one, Glimmerati and QA. Yeah. Nope. Right. They forgot. Oh yeah, they forgot the sleepover game. Hello, Ray March. All right, dude. So. What was I saying? Satisfying. What satisfies me? So, over the years, I have come up with quite a few game designs I want to make, of which Diorama is one. So, when I thought about, I said this last stream, what do I want to be known as? Do I want to be the guy that wrote a technically competent game, or do I want to be known as a guy that made a game that was fun or a game that had a good story? And it's the last ones, right? Rob Swan meeting party. Yeah, a Robson meeting. Yeah, that would be quite cool. In the team I used to work in, there was about 7 of us, and 3 of us were Robs. And when a couple of guys went on holiday, the Rob contingent, so it was Rob Lester, me, and another contractor called Rob as well. And we ruled our team, right? So the Robs were out to take over the world. But I left, and then the other Rob left. I can't remember actually the order. And then finally, the last Rob left last week. So there's no Rob contingent. The non-Robs actually won the day, and we're not very happy about that. So shot them all. Right. A team of 10 people who are called Rob Swan. Yeah, I mean, or like Rob or Swan, so they can be half Robs, right? Hello, Hexes. All right, so the game is still make games, yes. So because at some point, well, making an engine is a bigger endeavor, right? So agile development would suggest make a game, and then if there's value in it, continue branching out to make an engine, right? But in terms of getting a marketable product out first, you would aim for a game, right? The inferior non-Rob race over. Yeah, I mean that happens sometimes, doesn't it? The not so goods win, right? All right, I'm just going to go and get a drink. I'll be back, and I'm going to go and see where Teasel is. Teasel. I'll bribe you. And back again. So Jodie and I bought a couple of armchairs or reclining seats for the garden, and I went out there and Jodie's in one and Teasel is in the other reclining. Seeing where Teasel is. Hello, Terracell. Alright, new job I'm in has 2 people already with my first name and another person with a very similar surname, which I've never seen since it's quite unusual. Yeah, not many people called Vortex, I'll give you that. Terracell, how's how be the game what you work on? How's it going? How's Staxel? Let's go and see. What did I actually say? What have you clipped? Is that an old... Did I just do that just now? Oh no, I'm wearing something different. Clearly. Yeah. Phew. All right. Not bad. Good. Glad to hear it. How's Unity? Unity is excellent and depressing. It's excellent because it does what it does very well, and it comes with a lot of stuff. And it's depressing because obviously it does make me reevaluate my choices in life. All right. I'll soon have a C++ job interview with lots of C++ and real-time graphics. Yeah. So you'll turn up with a CV full of memes, right? And photoshopped pictures of people you know off the internet. All right. So Unity is a great product, right? Is it the one I'm going to use? Maybe not. What I'll definitely do though is diorama. I still can't see anything in the future that's going to take up the spot of diorama, although Monster Hunter Worlds is a bit of a pain in the backside. I might do Terracell. I mean, there's still options depending on the game style. If I choose to do tic-tac-toe, right, I don't actually need Unity or anything. Yeah. And I still prefer, like, as a consumer, I'd still prefer a non-Unity game because the footprint's smaller and yeah, it'll run faster. But that's not a big deal yet. So what are some of the game ideas that I've got? Diorama. It's actually they haven't got names. Gosh, this is really hard. So side scroller RPG. fantasy, adult themes. So I guess a bit like Game of Thrones sort of stuff. I don't know. 3D puzzle world, like a bit like Zelda actually. Like Zelda, Witness, that sort of thing. It's actually helpful. Some of the games, some of the game ideas I had, it's easier to describe now because there's games out now that make it a bit clearer, which is great. Charity game, which I've talked about before, multi games, but a lot of these. So Diorama was going to have a story, but doesn't. So it's very story led. Bit of a story. No story. Now, why have I written story? Because why mention story? Because Breath of the Teasel. Yay! All games that can be done quick. Well, no, the charity game's an interesting one. Well, so again, this is a brain dump. So that's a valid point you've made, but I'll come around to saying that because I want to scratch a different creative itch at some point soon. So I've been scratching my program creative stuff. Thanks, Cosson18. Thanks for following. And Breath of the Tea. Oh yeah, I did, didn't I? Oops. Teasel on the brain, right? Blue Spiders consumer. I prefer a naughty picture of Rob in the credits. Okay. So why not make Metroidvania Tiny Galaxy huge open world game? Yes. And while going for a C++ interview, let's just throw everything in there. Yeah. Am I going to keep developing Teasel's treasure trove? Well, maybe because there's some. Yes, maybe. Yeah. And I'll come down. Okay, so talk about idea of creating bits of games instead of full game. Right, so that's one of the things that I'll come back to because I think that's the direction I'm heading, right? I want to discuss it. So, less about technical, itchy, scratchy. Yeah, let's make it out like it's a disease. More about story, itchy, scratchy. All right, so I am definitely true. Hello, Kantaran. All right there, mate. So, yeah, at some point soon, I want to do something story-based, okay? So there's pure story-based game. Can't talk about detail. Can't talk about details because it's actually Jody's idea. I just really like it. Right. And what other ideas have I had? Isometric. Flipping heck, help me. Like, Final Fantasy Tactics. I just love the idea of turn-based strategy, and this branches into two. So there's the single-player game, and like it, not itch.io, sorry, like Diep.io, Slither.io, a massively MP drop-in, drop-out version. What other ideas have I had? Something like fighting fantasy novels, and they'll fit into a visual novel style book. All story. No story. Bugger. And what other ideas have I got while I'm at it? Gosh, I got to dredge my brain over this. Teaming up with Jodie, I think, is a nice idea. Working solo isn't all that time a joy. Oh, I always make the same error with my keyboard. Well, normal one, I was all right, but now because I spend most of my time on a Mac, the keys are all different. So, yeah. How many of these ideas have to be financially successful? 0. None of them have to be financially successful. So you're joining me late, but up here I've got what's on my mind? Money. Source of my money is contracts. That's why I'm spending more time on that. Whereabouts? Big point here. If I decide I'm not worried about making money with my game, what does that enable, disable? So basically, Terra, I don't have to worry about financial viability. That doesn't mean I should deliberately ignore it. So if I follow an idea and it excites me and it looks like it's got some viability, some financial viability, then I should release it, right? Try and make money. I wouldn't turn that down. Yes. Fantasy books would be amazing with their buttons, chat, compress. Yeah, yeah. Too many ideas. Well, this is where we go through them and work out which ones are better or worse. And so, yeah, I'll tell you what, unless anything comes back, I have got loads of other ideas, but if none, sorry, the other one is mini hyper real world, top down or side scroller. And that's, yes, that's got so many ideas, but that's, to be honest, that's more of a theme, actually. Let's do that rather than a game style. Right, so the way of looking at these is what can be done quickly, what can be done incrementally, what engines do they engender, how fast, how satisfying would they be to do, right? Next 10 years of game dev sorted, yes. Just saw you had dealings with Eidos in 2007. Was Jane Kavanagh or Bill Ennis still involved? Well, if this was 2007, would that... I'm having to think. Was that Diner Dash? Yeah, so I mean, that's where I first met Ian Livingstone in a meeting where he absolutely savaged our business idea, which is quite right. And I actually congratulated him on it when I met him again, like 8 years later. But no, I don't know those people. Sorry. I mean, Eidos was massive, and we were an external contractor for them, so doing work for hire. So we barely touched them. And I'm tech anyway, so they tend to keep tech away in a dungeon, so where we can't meet with real people. So yeah, right. Well, I meant that simply pick this one thing and finish it doesn't work for me. Like I have a bunch of stuff mostly never finished, and once that's piled up. Well, so what I'm looking for, I mean, the proof is that me picking a large project like Diorama, it hasn't really worked out. It could do, but it's going to take a long time to see if it works out. So if I stop worrying about a finished product and start mucking about, but you see, like, there's a difference between doing lots of different things against the backdrop of allowing yourself to do multiple things versus saying, well, I've got to do one thing, but you keep chopping and changing. One is stressful and not very productive, and the other actually is freedom, and that's good. Jane founded SCI, which later acquired Eidos. Yeah, okay, so I have no idea. I would never have dealt with those people, and I interacted with them very, very limited amounts, so I don't really remember. The base problem is the language you use for this big project, in my opinion. Yeah, it may be worth doing, like... You see, if I wrote let's say I never worked on Diorama again, okay? Let's say I never worked on it. Writing a post-mortem would be a valid thing to do. But the reason writing a post-mortem would be quite painful would be because every mistake I've made, I'd have to write that I was a hypocrite. I'd say, don't do this, don't do that, and then I did it anyway, right? So I'm a prat. Yeah. So I don't, I've said before on this stream, I don't mind people making mistakes as long as they're all new mistakes. If you keep making the same mistake over and over again, then more fool me, right? And in this case, it's not so much the language, but overall, Diorama has taken too long, right, to get where I want it to. So it's the sort of project that if I had more money, I might pay somebody else to work in with me, and then the rate of progress would be better, etc., etc. Those are good. Yeah. C++ is, yeah, that is the thing. If I was going to make diorama as I originally intended, I'd probably still do the same tech route. It's just that its viability as a lone programmer project has now dropped massively, right? For the right person who's better than me, maybe it's viable. For me, it's not working out that way, right? So, BD, what was your kind of business idea, if you can say? So anyway, where are I? Something about Sorty story, right? Right. So that's clearly taking too long. But what could we do from that? So what could we do that was small and satisfying? Would be Tiny Galaxy, and actually. This could well be something I revisit in near future, right? So diorama, the big project, may eventually happen, but I may come back and use the Tiny Galaxy, the diorama code base to release lots of little games written in it, right? In the Lua, and then I update the engine as features are required, right? Thomas Breyer, hello there. Working on a new project, probably. Yeah, I just need to work out. I love the dropper minigame part. It totally needs to be its own thing. Mike, yeah, so that's actually feasible. Like, what if I just spent, say, a month making sure that we could do all the things to fix, like, the rendering speed, the preloading. Yeah, that could work. Side-scroller, RPG, adult themes. So... what can we do about this? So, side scrollers are cheaper to make. Needs good art. Unlike diorama. I would say that because I think side scrollers generally they come with baggage, which is good 2D art, SNES style RPG stuff as a minimum, right? So it's not even about that style, but as a minimum, the art expectations are quite high. But anyway, many engines for this. Not even that big a deal to write my own. My story is deliberately in chapters. So can do it in stages, right? So that's an interesting one. I already have quite a strong idea for a side-scroller RPG that involves, and I've worked a bit of the story out, especially the start of the game, and for narrative reasons, there's a whole discussion that could be had about game design and why it's different. What can we learn from film structure, book structure, against traditional game structure, and why I personally think that if you're doing story-led, there is a lot to learn from the very established ideas found in the traditional media, right? They've had decades or centuries of development. I mean, books have been around for such a long time, and there are great lessons to be learned there. But yeah, so one of the things I would do is split my story up into chapters. Oh yeah, time traveling story. See, I'm remembering these things. Time traveling story with tattoos and generations, right? Anyway, my story is deliberately in chapters, so I can do it in stages. That's cool. Pixel Tris, or Tries. You were at a point a long time ago when you had rendering and networking at a good state. Feel like your direction from there ended up in a lot of time spent without much gameplay progress. No, that's an incredibly fair evaluation. I don't mind people, like, it's always fine to point out things that are true, right? Which is diorama has had considerable lulls. Its progress in the first 6 months was far faster than in the next 6 months or the 6 months after that, right? So that also highlights that maybe I was developing things wrong. I know, like, a good example is the entity component system stuff that I put in. That took quite a long time. The benefits were there, but if I'd done it before and I'd been smarter, I wouldn't have lost like 4 months, right? And that's an example of using somebody else's engine that's already had that experience. They'll steer you in the right direction, so that's good, right? better art mean maybe not using voxels? Yes, possibly. An episodic game, possibly. It actually wasn't my idea, but I was just in the right place at the right time to work on it. Concept was very simple. Food ordering in busy pub restaurants from your table and payment using your phone. Flops due to massive revolt from bar staff thinking it was just taking their jobs and too early for mobile payments. People like PayPal were so keen to get into this area at the time they were offering us large amounts of money. It's an interesting one there because I worked on a hardware product whose time had not yet come. BD, what you're describing now is actually starting to hit the market. I've seen those things. Seer quacks, all right. And yeah, sometimes you can have the right idea whose time has not yet come. And that sounds a bit like what you're describing. And obviously, if you had got in early and ridden out the apathy or actual obstruction from certain staff, then you might have been got the first mover advantage, right? That would have been amazing. But yeah, it's amazing how things can fail. So that goes back to what I talk about game development, right? The luck is a huge part of it. There is so much that is out of your control, right? And in this case, it was resistance from a part of the industry that probably shouldn't have had any friggin' say in it, right? Right, Kazian, what game am I working on right now? Right now, right this second, nothing, right? So I've taken a break, and it's been about a month, I think. Right. Why have I got 75 people listening to me ramble? Anyway, hello there. Hello, Dr. Robot Vinnick. By the way, I am listening to Breath of the Wild soundtrack in the background, if you can just about hear it. And this is Prince Sidon, the only male fish that we all fancy, right? You know who I'm talking about. Yes, you do. Right. It says 66 viewers. My number says 72. Darn you. Grrr. 820 followers. Yeah, I'm going to have to do something for 4,000 followers. Like make actually code again, right? Rather than be a talking head. Right. Did I read your text about voxels and art? Yes. So, another thing is better art means maybe not using voxels. Yes, you're right. Yes. Yep, that's correct. Sidon is hot. Yes, he is. Her. What next, man? For man raised by penguins, yes. What next for man raised by penguins is taken from the day-to-day. So, yeah. So I'm not. Art is something that again, if I do a very basic game, I should probably not worry too much about art, right? I'm genuinely not ruling this out on a Rule 44 website. I'm not doing that, right? With these other graphics things, the voxels. Yeah, the Unity plugins I could do. Yeah, it was Chris Morris on the day-to-day, yeah. And, what was I saying? Voxels are hard to get looking nice. Well, what I should be doing with all of this is wrapping up what I think is satisfying. And one of the things, wherever I got it written, mini hyper real world top down side scroll. So I'm going to show you something that I've just thought of. How many of you know the game's International Karate Plus? International Karate Plus C64. Now this was one of the first games that had a particular thing. No, that's not it. Ah, there we go. So let's turn this music off that you can't hear anyway. Right, now this is the Commodore 64, right? Years old, right? You're old, I'm old, let's all be old together. Am I still going to be working with Unity? Not sure. Pixel, point cloud. We're still not at the point cloud stage, yeah. Not voxels, I mean something else where you don't see pixels. Vector graphics? Oh, alright, yeah. A vignette. It hides a lot of pixels. Anyway, International Karate Plus. You can see the blocky pixels, right, on this, even if you're on a low stream quality, right? Now, why does this game have any relevance today? Well, it's because it was a single screen game, but check out the background, right? So what have we got going? Well, we've got reflections. So what they've done here is they've taken this. Look, there's a little bird flying past, all right? This sounds really silly, but there is attention to detail that they couldn't really afford to do on the Commodore 64. And the tree will shed leaves every so often. I'm basically waiting to see if anything else happens. But the tree would shed leaves and they'd fall down there. There's a... Oh, we missed the spider. Look, there's a spider. Okay. Now, all of this was pretty stupid. It's because of the music, yes. Oh, vector art. That's an interesting one. I'd have to think about that. Oh, look, there's a little worm there going across. Little worm. Now, I'm not saying what I need to do are worms, right? That's not it. But the point is that they've got something and they've added loads of detail. And I actually tried to do this. So when I was working on Dynadash, it was supposed to not be a straightforward conversion for handhelds, right? So we did Dynadash, Sizzle and Serve. And what we got given was we had the design freedom to make new types of customers, new type of games, more birds there. And unfortunately, we started planning loads of new ideas and new themes and stuff. And then the people paying us said, no, you're not allowed to do that. Brilliant. Right. A worm style game would be pretty cool. Yeah, that would be quite good. Am I going to try Game Maker? Potentially, yes. Probably not actually, but potentially. I'm waiting to see a sodding leaf fall. I want to see a leaf. Come on, you tree. There's the worm again. All right. And some of the ideas we had were pretty good. But what I wanted was... oh my god, I'm going to try and do some art thing. This is not going to work. Hey, right. Okay, I promise I will set up... from 20 years C++ to Game Maker. Nice. Well, I need to be product focused rather than language focused. Okay, and I wanted to have a supremely detailed world, right? Side scrolling, right? So awning on a shop there, little door, windows, street lamp, person walking their dog. Person walking their dog, and the sun up there, and clouds, and so I wanted this. It bleeds into the house. Yeah, it is pretty good. Yeah. Well, this is the quality of the artwork that we're going to create, right? Scope creep. So what? So this goes back to. I've got a few things that I really want to do in terms of creativity, right? He's bigger than the shop. Yeah, all right, okay. So it's there's a little person anyway, and you know, we'll have a hedge here that looks like a hedge. You know, Bob Ross of computer games, right? Perhaps if I made it green, it would make it just that bit better. Yeah. So I'm going to do this in vector art so that it scales up and looks beautiful at all resolutions. And the point was that this would be like a town on the right hand side and you'd walk to the different restaurants, right? And it was inspired by the attention to detail for this. I'm going to find a leaf falling if it kills me. Stop with the birds flying. Flippin' heck. He hasn't got it. All right. Cheats. No. Okay. So there isn't a video of the cheats, which is a big surprise. A very funny gameplay. The reason being it's a surprise was some of the cheats you could put in would have Pac-Man go across, or a little periscope would appear in the water and stuff. But loads of little detail. Right. Let's get rid of that. So if this was the idea, and he's not even born yet. Yes. You would have this city, and it wasn't that the city was drawn in a great amount of detail, right? I've never been detail oriented. So games like Grand Theft Auto 3, the art quality was quite low, but it gained in this other area, which was consistency and realism. And so, for example, let's have a look at this scene, right? let's say that's all we've got is a building, a lamp, a hedge, and that sort of thing. Why did my phone just vibrate? Oh, we got some. Oh, Rotachonsi follow and Cosano18. Oh, sorry, Rotachonsi, thanks for following. I didn't actually see the message. Sorry, guys. And sim games are quick to dev and big earners. I think it's a sellout. Oh, okay. What's a David Shrigley style game? I don't need... Oh. I don't know. Nope, no idea. Right. Thanks, Vitorski. Vitors. Sko. Okay, forgive me. Right. Yeah, GTA 3 had fantastic gameplay. Yeah, exactly. So, here's an example, right? So, what could we add for realism here? Well, the clouds can move, right? Let's do that in another colour. Right, so the clouds can move, right? We've got the sun and the moon, so time of day, so that's something. Weather, you could have rain coming down. The light here would turn on and off at night. You would have a cone of light. Rain would land there. We can have birds flying in and around. When it's lit, you can have moths fluttering around. The person walking the dog will go by at a certain time each day, maybe wearing different clothes. The bushes will sway in the wind. Right, I'm not saying the dog takes a crap. I don't like that sort of stuff. Air pollution, smogging up the sky. Yes, a nuclear bomb goes off and kills everyone, flattens it. End of T2. That would be great fun. Yeah, we got Let's race with the leaves. We've got the awning would come down and go up. We'd have someone turn up, lock up, open up. We'd see the lights inside. You'd see people moving around inside the shop. Maybe they'd put seats outside for people to come by. And the point is that if you take any one area and like a simple scene, so what's the minimum scene? And a shop and a person and whatever, it's pretty small. But you can keep adding stuff until it is a work of art, right? Weather like rain, yes. Not actual rain, but a bit like, so what happens in the foreground? Well, my point is that can you make gameplay where there's just this real busy world? What did I write it as? Oh yeah, a hyper-real world, right? So simulating it, all scripted, or it can be scripted. That's not the point. But the point where is walking around this world is a joy. So a good example of where I would like to take it is if you've got an RPG, a top-down RPG, is that it's got beautiful graphics. But in the town, not much happens. Maybe people walk backwards and forwards, but going on crazy and doing stuff like that. And it is a personal thing that is satisfying that would satisfy me to incorporate is whatever game I do, I would like it to be have attention to detail. Maybe that's the word, is attention to detail. Yes, I'm not really sure you have donated $1. Yes. So have I tried the Pico 8? No, I looked at it. So the console style or virtual console. Yeah, so Mike the Mad Kiwi, affecting one thing changes the entire game. Yes, maybe. And this style of hyper-realism, I showed you a game before YouTube. Platformance Castle Pain. Was that the one? Yes, it was. Right, so we've got a... So this was... it's all I had on my card, so I wanted to waste it. Yes, I'm... So it came to pass. Yes. So this was on Xbox Live Arcade, and I showed it before. And what it is it's just a little platformer, but it's an example of where there's just lots of little things going on. Right now, it's a standard platformer, but the big deal here is that you can zoom the gameplay. And when you zoom out, you see the entire playfield and everything is still executing on it. And it's that kind of lots of little things going together to make something that looks amazingly complex. Now, the gameplay doesn't really match it. But in terms of what I think could be really cool, yes, it's that. Here we go, Chased by a Ghost. Is he actually going to zoom out? Let me go and have a look. No, he's not. Oh, brilliant. Let's go and have a look at this guy. Oh, this doesn't have a preview. Yeah, so, okay, this is going to be terrible because it's just not going to show. Oh, he has zoomed out a bit there, right? So he zoomed out a bit and you've just got... It's rich. There's a lot going on. A repeating timeline time travel game. It makes the world feel very authentic and alive while you can limit yourself to a small world. Yes, yeah. That is a very... If time travel wasn't overdone story thing, it has a lot of gameplay possibilities. Yeah, so he zoomed out there. But the point is that there's a lot going on and it just feels really nice. You can actually zoom out again, so the entire world, you see the entire game field on your 1080p screen in one go. Oh, he just did it briefly then. That was really helpful. So that's not the biggest zoom. There we go. Right. There's just a million things going on. It's almost overwhelming, just like real life, except you learn to filter it out. I have played Majora's Mask, and I've got it on 3DS as well. So that's something that's kind of caught my eye. And I think this would also work in a top-down world. Tiny, you know, you get in tiny little taxis, and there's lots of little people walking around or whatever. Yeah. I showed you Hidden Folks, didn't I, Rob? Yes, I bought it. I've completed it. So, yeah, Hidden Folks is a great game, actually. I actually think they could have done a lot more with it, but as it stands, it was exciting. So this has got a great thing, sense of scale. Let's go. Does this bonus points? Yeah. So you're starting to see loads of things going on, and you can actually zoom out more than that, but they're not showing it. Let's have a look. There we go. You're starting to see loads and loads more. And if you look at any one of those things, the animation or coding is irrelevant. It's almost trivial, but the sheer quantity of it makes it rich and nice. And they even go to little areas where you just see one of them, which is pretty damn cute as well. At the moment, this is my favourite bit of music in the game, in Breath of the Wild. Yeah, so Hidden Folks is great, and I bought it on your recommendation, so thank you very much, dude. I don't remember that part of the game. Was that like... In fact, I'm gonna go and sadly see how much it sold, because I suspect it sold sod all. It's the one where you're on top of Hot Sidon, right? Yes, it is very much. Well done. Because I wouldn't have recognised the other Divine Beast music. Oh, good. They've sold a reasonable amount. Good. I'm glad for that. What's the average price? Let's say they get okay. Yeah, that's still pretty good. 5,000 players in the last few weeks. Those are nice figures. That's good. 85,000 owners. It's good. I think Hyrule Castle theme is best. Funnily enough, the Hyrule Castle theme I thought sounded a bit rough while I was playing the game, but when I listened to it on its own, it's good. It's good. It's good. 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 There we go. Right. So, mini hyper real world, and I will always be trying to think of ways of getting that in. Right. That is a big deal to me. It's not guaranteed to go into whatever I do next. Right. And story. So one of the things I want to try and get across is that I believe I could write a story, right? And story is not about technical ability at all, right? Well, I'll come back to that. Like, you could do, visual novel. Right, I'm almost certainly not going to do a visual novel, right? But actually, while we're brainstorming, there's some value in doing a visual novel. I can't do my detail thing, my mini hyper real world. No, that's rubbish. But in terms of finding out, like, if I was going to make a game that took a long time to make, the idea of working out this, not a hentai game, no, the the only a good way to test out the story and emotional attachment would actually be running it through as a visual novel, right? And that actually that's quite reaffirming to me, because it gives me a chance. Like, if I was to do a visual novel, it would give me a chance to, like, there's almost no technical ability. I maybe pay an artist so it doesn't look like that. I don't think anybody's going to be emotionally moved by that, but go and steal some graphics or whatever, big character art, and then lots of anime schoolgirls. Why not? Because it doesn't match the theme. That's why not. So, would be cool to take a comic page as a level, like you can walk from box to box. Right, so there is a game. So Mega Drive Comics. Comic Zone. So this already exists. So Vortex, there you go. Let's have a look. Is he actually going to play this? Yeah, finally. So let's have a look. I've not actually seen this in action. I just know that this game exists. There we go. And he jumps. Oh, and the artist even drew the enemy on. So that's a really cute idea. And do you know what's nice about that? Is, again, this goes back to my... each scene is its own picture, so you have very strong artistic control. You can do loads of that hyper detailed world would actually fit quite well in this. That's quite cute. It'd be even funnier if you did like parallax as you moved around, and obviously the parallax would need clipping, so the panels or the panes, I don't actually know what the comic book terminology is, would be self-contained but appear to be bigger than they actually are, which is kind of cute. So you zoom out on a world is a whole page. Okay. Making adult game is worth it commercially. VREN is creating erotic games. Ah. It's got 30 major sex scenes. So I'm reading this. It arounds the corruption and seduction of women by you. Oh, that's a bit awkward. Now we've plenty of a total of 17 endings. I wonder if any of them are happy. That's a joke. Right. Thanks for that. Yeah. This is where you find out Skello's like the top guy, top Patreon supporter. I actually almost want to write an article about the Breath of the Wild music and how it reminds me that Nintendo's audio design, basically music design, is superior to other RPGs and stuff. But anyway, that's whatever. That would be opinion. Right. So, yeah, that comic book stuff. Right. So we go back to, where are we? Visual novel. Could I do well, question is, can I do emotional? So include deaths, betrayal, all that sort of stuff, romance, whatever. Right, big things. So that interests me. Right, so what have I got? What are my big drives? Right, so quick, hyper detailed. Emotional story. That's definitely it. And technology isn't there. Unity isn't there. Game Maker isn't there. So that's an interesting thing. Let's have a look at this. So it's funny because, oh yeah, so big drives. Oh yeah, charity. Charity is quite a big drive. So that's story. That's purely story. Side-scroller RPG. So, in order to make a game or demo quick, less risks. Okay. Oh. Right. Use existing engines where possible. but I do want to take some risks. So one of the things that's on my mind, Emo Rob, yes. But I do want to take some risks. So, for story purposes, I want to learn at some point how to make and manage cutscenes. Why? Because cutscenes in games are... cutscenes in games are, or can be, I didn't want to say can be critical to story, because it overlaps nicely with hyper detailed game theme. I'll call it a theme because that's what I want to do, and it adds a good level of professionalism to games. That's my opinion. Good cutscenes done well raise the bar of the quality of a product, right? But when I say, I mean, this isn't about interactive versus non-interactive, all right? So, interactive. So when I talk about cutscenes, that's not really the right word. It could be a non-interactive cutscene, but I mean, like, for the example, side scroller where in the background layers. So side scroller. This is a direct part of what I would like of a game I'd like to make. So I won't talk about the story and the setup, but I'll talk about the scene, right? So foreground. Lots of villagers running away in panic. Background, and in the foreground as well. Foreground. Right, I'm going to just do FG because I can't do a typo there. He says as he does a typo. So foreground, lots of city wall being breached. And collapsing, and then in background layers, houses on fire, further layer back, outer wall on hill, BG, arrows firing over the wall, fires in distance, smoke, etc. Right, so what I'm talking about is something where there's so much going on, whether it's scripted or AI or whatever, and it can be interactive, it can be non-interactive. So a lot of the stuff in the background is uninteractive, but it still needs to play out in a controlled manner. So that to me is kind of, that's the overlap with the cutscene scripting, but it's actually in an interactive setting, right? Now, and this is part of something I would very much like to do, genuinely would love to do, and it's high up on my idea, on my list. See you, Mike Mad Kiwi. Cheers, dude. Nothing changed, still Notepad. I'm not doing any game dev today. Professional. Did I type professionalism badly? Oh, I nearly did. All right. I can do emotional Twitch emotes. That is one of the saddest emotes ever. So, now this is notable. This kind of stuff that's going on is notable because it doesn't happen, right? You don't really see a lot of this. So in a side-scrolling game where you're deliberately having like low resolution, low tech, right? Those are the kind of products where you could author 1,000 little elements running around on screen. That's a good use of your CPU, right? But it doesn't tend to happen. Analphabestia, thank you very much. Oh, anal. All right, thanks, mate. Yeah, and that interests me. That is the hyper-realistic, the lots of things going on, and not just with the aim of it's just not just needless. It's with scene setting. It could tell part of the story. It could be just setting the theme. Like another little example is in Super Metroid. So let's go and have a look. So right at the start of Super Metroid, after you've done the very first level, you land on your planet. Playthrough. And what you'll see... Let's go and stop that music. Yeah, so he's just done the first bit. And he's now about to... Yeah, there we go. He's just landing on this, right? So it's scene setting. All right, we've got thunder and lightning. We've got a bit of rain. Right, so the little touches that help, right? We've got the splashes under the feet. That's kind of cute. Now, little touches. Do you see that when we came on? These little bundles of insects, they don't interact with the game, but they run away. It helps create the feeling of emptiness. Are there any more? Yep, look, they'll run. Oh, they didn't. Why did you not run away, insects? Oh, because you didn't get close enough. Fair enough. And all of this kind of reinforces the emptiness of it. So it's a key part of... There you go. They just ran off over the right. This is a large part of making it feel like it's a deserted place. We've got fog, which you can't really see on this quality, but those are the sorts of things I'm talking about up to 11. Oh, there we go. Lots of them running away. This place feels deserted, haunted, old, you know, and those are interesting emotions that you tend not to get in games. So I'm interested in, as an aside, I'm interested in games that portray loneliness or desolation. And so that is a part of it. It's not even a large part of the game of Super Metroid, but it's there and it's worthy of note. To the point now where the first thing you come across that actually does anything, this light lights up and suddenly you're like, oh, the world is alive. Have I just reactivated it? And the answer is yes, you have, you big twit. Better to have left it alone. Keep in mind, increasing details will also increase complexity of cohesive art style. Yes, absolutely. It's definitely something that needs working out. But that's a problem that I wouldn't mind trying to overcome along the way of trying to increase the detail. Oh no, sorry, yeah, it's still quiet, isn't it? Yeah, still deserted. There's an old statue. We don't know if they're alive or not. It turns out they kind of are. That's the Chozos, isn't it? Right, so let's close that as an example. And Shadow of the Colossus and Ico are both pretty good at doing the desolation stuff. And I can't remember what it was like for The Last Guardian because it didn't really make an impression on me. But... wasn't it the one case? I can't remember what I did for 2K. Can't remember. What did I do for 3K? What did I do for all of them? Who knows, right? So that's quite a big deal. And obviously, coupling it with a side scroller makes life quite easy because side scrollers are quite easy, right? So anyway, this goes back to I do want to take some risks and I want to learn how to deal with this sort of thing, right? I genuinely do. And sort of managing cutscenes, if they're entirely scripted, that's okay, right? You're just playing back stuff. But if they need branching, if you're actually taking control of an NPC or even the player character, how do you deal with the variation in the setup of the scene? You know, so things become, it's not just playing back the equivalent of an FMV in game, right? Those are all difficult and risky and stuff, but it's interesting. Yeah, I should have had 3 bigger streams. No, I can't remember. Right, so that interests me a lot. So a visual novel doesn't really help satisfy that itch. Yeah. But whatever I do with making games, that's probably not a problem I'm going to try and fix immediately. I've got some other issues because I want to do rapid development and stuff. What else have we got? Diorama, side-scroller RPG. Many engines for this. Yeah, that's fine. Time-traveling story with tattoos. I won't bother about that because that, in terms of tech, that kind of fits in with this one. 3D puzzle world like Zelda. That's something that there's no way that's cheap to make. There's no way that's cheap, so I have to kind of ignore it. The charity game is an interesting one. This one I'd like to do, but because it's Jodie's idea, I can't really do much on it, and because I'll be taking it away from her. Final Fantasy Tactics. So this is another interesting one. So the stuff like DFIO and Slither.io, they have set the standard of drop in, drop out gameplay, play anywhere, and low graphical fidelity. Hurrah, we like that. I quite like the idea of doing isometric. Actually doesn't really matter. It could be isometric top down. I don't really care. But the idea of a strategy game where you drop in and drop out would be quite cool. So that would be a completely different tech thing, because if I was going DFIO, it would be HTML5 sockets. Yeah, I would be using tech I mostly understand, but I wouldn't be. It's not going to be the same tech stack at all as something like whether using Unity or GameMaker or C++. Right. Hello, lol cool cat. All right, dude. What's up with Diorama? Well, I've had ups and downs on Diorama, and I'm now sort of saying, what can I do for a break? Because I need to revitalize myself and stuff. Which actually reminds me, because I was thinking about what I should write to the guys like yourself who supported me on Patreon. So whatever I've got in Patreon is going to be offered exactly the same to the next stuff, except now you're more likely to actually receive the puzzles, right? So Diorama in some form is very likely to continue. Actually, that was one of the things I didn't put on here, was it? Diorama or bits of it in another engine. To be honest, the Diorama is likely going to carry on as doing something where I'll start fleshing out gameplay rather than keep doing the engine side. So that's something that is valuable there. And bearing in mind I did make Tiny Galaxy in 48 hours, that's not a risky endeavor, right? Doing Diorama, the big project, is still risky and time consuming, etc., etc. But using Diorama to make lots of little things which will help grow the engine, that's not such a big deal at all. And I'd like it, because Diorama, even as it stands, still has some pros and cons. Still has some pros, right? It's got lots of cons, whatever. But yeah, we to be honest, Local Cat, you should tell me what you think about these kind of things, and me talking about changing direction or whatever, because obviously you're one of the guys who set me up very strongly on Patreon, and your rewards as it stands. If I were to drop Diorama, which isn't really what I'm saying, but I mean, like, what was it about that excited you and could be transferred to another project? Because I do owe you, right? That's the simple truth. Not just financially, but because, you know, it's the kind of person I am. I do kind of owe you. Right. Well, oh, right. Adding more guilt to the mix now. Yeah, I liked Diorama. Well, that matters to me, right? Because mostly I'm concerned with making a product and being happy in doing so, right? And the people that have supported me, and that's why I'm discussing this on stream, right, is to pick up people's vibes, because what people want will have an impact on me, unless they tell me to keep making hentai games, mate. Well, what I'm saying now, Cool Cat, is that I also have freedom, right? Because the money thing is not an issue anymore. And like, if I was to paint Diorama really badly and say it's just a time sink and it would never come out, which isn't true, but it's long term, right? Is it better to have a bit of that soon rather than all of it but later? Hey, you know, maybe I'll be the next scandal after Star Citizen, yeah? In my opinion, real indie devs should go for a $20 game. That's what Klifsky says. Yeah, he's kind of right. Lol, Cool Cat. I don't think I legally owe you anything much, but I think for me to be happy as a person, I owe you, and that's not a burden, right? That's not the way these things work. It's you know, the good stuff that you've done for me in the past is well worth working with. That's cool. You're a web dev. Oh, what sort of web dev are you? I'm a web dev in my contract work at the moment. Yeah. So, and one of the things, just to go back to the cutscene stuff, is that a lot of this experience, I've never written a cutscene manager that does really complex stuff. But in my mind, you're a full stack dev. Oh, are you? Ah, okay. React.js. Are you any good? maybe that's the way of repaying you, is by putting other work your way. No, I don't know much about full stack JavaScript stuff. I mean, my web dev is making games. Actually, I do gambling games, and it's a pretty good deal, definitely. You know, people I know are very, very happy and want to be full stack devs. Not just from a career point of view, but, you know, it can be interesting. Yeah, so the cutscene stuff, actually, if I got a good understanding of it, that would translate into a 3D game very well. It really, really would, right? So there's always a bit of wanting to do that, because doing good cutscenes gives me the ability to help progress the story, right? I enjoy working by myself on projects, hence why I need to know a lot of the things myself. Yeah, a friend of mine's just started a full stack remote working job, and he's very excited by it. So yeah. Yeah, so anyway, so that's something I want to do. So story plus that, and I also wrote down charity. Charity is a big deal, and that's why the charity game, despite not actually ticking any of the other boxes, it's technically low cost, and the harder part would come in organising the other devs. But that's something I do definitely want to take a look at some point. Anyway, making bits of games. Right, so as I said here, a lot of these can be broken into chapters. That's how I wanted to tell the story anyway. And I think that makes sense. Like, you can do bits of a 3D puzzle world, but bearing in mind part of it is supposed to be a grand idea. So we were talking before about, like, imagine if there was a Breath of the Wild style world, but you were inside a sphere, right? I think I talked about it, but it's been on my mind. These ways of... There is a thing that I would like to do in impress artistically. So games like Okami and stuff, different graphic styles, but they are impressive. They are big. Breath of the Wild is a good one. Wind Waker, the graphic style and stuff. And vistas and openness like Shadow of the Colossus. So there's a few games that you can list. A lot of the RPGs, Skyrim was very good at that as well. Feeling a small part of something big. That is worth a lot. And actually, I'm going to write that down because, right, feeling a small part of something big. Right, so, could be story, but also visual. So, Breath of the Wild, Shadow of the Colossus. Let's do as many four-letter acronyms as we can. That's great. I'll support you on any project you do. You don't need to feel like you owe me anything. All right, well, I appreciate that. That's really good. Thank you. What else was I saying? I can't remember. But Skyrim. Okay, so this isn't about gameplay scale so much as understanding your place in it. Now, this kind of vibe, this is really only a small part of a game, but bringing that. It has a big implication for your game design and your art and stuff and your technology. But, so question, can you put this feeling, journey. That was quite a good one. Can you put this feeling into a side scroller? So can you take these feelings and make them feel cheaper? Develop them cheaper. I think, yay. So engineer levels so that you always feel the world is bigger. So this interests me, right? Because this is where you can make small design decisions that actually aren't necessarily more expensive to develop than any others, but can have an impact. So one of the deals, right? If you're on a side scroller, that's your screen. You can only see this much, right? So tiny window, right? Now that sounds like it's going to tiny window. So we'll do a sad smiley there. So a tiny window in a world generally doesn't allow you to have big vistas, right? Except we also do have parallax, right? Now that's a visual thing, but when you think of maps of side-scroller games, you killed the chat. Slither.io. So I banned myself from playing Slither.io because I played it so much. But it's okay. I found another game called Dieppe.io, which I play all the time, and I'm trying to ban myself from that. But so if we take a Super Metroid map, or a Castlevania map, or something like that, let's go and have a look. They are 2D as well. Super Metroid map. No, that's not it. Oh, I've clicked on the wrong thing. That's what I meant to do. Right, so they're 2D, right? And you can't really do much with that because the things in the distance, you never reach them because you're in a 2D plane, right? So what if your map was circular, right? Okay, so at any one point, you're seeing a small part of the world like this. Okay. And it's not uncommon for games to have you going in and out of the world, right? So there's that. Okay, so that means if we start doing stuff like this and we have an inner layer, right? If your world is like this, well, we've just solved a bit of a problem, right? So our level design is actually going to be relatively simple because this actually you'd map as a 2D plane. It just wraps, right? Once you hit the left, you go to the right. Yeah. Hello, Rob Lester. All right, dude. Yeah, nice shelf. That's just sitting there. Yeah, yeah. Thanks very much. And do you know what's interesting? I love this particular thing, right? Because obviously, if that's the way we've got our world set up, what you're seeing in the background is this other layer that you can get. So if you can start moving in and out and it's circular, right? Well, this background layer of parallax, it means something. It's somewhere you can travel. You could have a tower in the middle, right? And then right in the middle, there's... let's do another colour. Right in the middle, there's a solitary screen, which is of your big tower thing, right? But my point is that by making a deliberate decision early on to change how your map relates to, or the borders of the world relate to each other and the ability of going in and out, suddenly, the only time you're not going to have much to see is if you're, well, even if you're on the inner layer, you'll still be seeing out backwards. But that sort of thing satisfies a few issues, right? It allows me to start creating details. So let's say your story involves blowing up this tower. Well, you can see it changing in the world in the background. You've always anchored something. And I like that. I like that when a game has... I like when a game revisits areas. I like when a game revisits and has landmarks and stuff that change and grow, right? This is part of the highly detailed world, making it cohesive. All of these things I class as more intelligent artistic and gameplay design, and I like them because they're things that you can plan for very, very closely. There are a few games which go in and out of the foreground, background. Yeah, you're right. So it's not actually that uncommon. So you've got stuff like YouTube. What's the Axiom Verge? So this is a small example. Oh, not Axiom Verge. Damn it. Oh, I can't remember. I'm not gonna remember what it is. Yeah, but if you could play this up, and so you could have a massive world map where these rings, and then every so often Shadow Complex. No, not really. Shadow Complex is still very, very much 2D. You can shoot into and out of it, but we're talking like instead of the depth distance between the front and the back being, say, tens of meters, I'm talking about it being kilometers. And in fact, you could even have set pieces where, you know, you've got 5 layers of buildings and you're moving forward into them. So let's say at this part of the world there's a town, right? And then that takes you into a higher detailed set of rings or whatever. This almost doesn't merit the long discussion because it is such a small change technically and artistically. But the reason it's worth talking about is because it enables and it satisfies so much, so many of these kind of creative aspects that I would like to include. And I also think they have a lot of mileage for the player, right? So anything that is kind of cheap to implement requires a bit of thought, but that's cheaper to do, to plan and think about, but gives a markedly different experience to the user. That appeals to me a hell of a lot, right? When moving to the inner plane, you could flip the view and have the outer parts as background. Yep. So there's bits where, yeah, you could look outwards, right? And in fact, I'm making this up as I go along, but you could imagine something where this is a single screen in the middle and you go to the tower and the tower has an observation deck. And as you walk around it, yeah, then you get to see the entire world. And actually, these things are important because they anchor things, right? It becomes, to me, for a world to feel cohesive, and actually Super Metroid failed a bit on this, but it was to, well, most 2D games do, but to give a sense of space, that it's not just a set of connected levels, it's actually part of a world. Are we talking 3D game? No, probably not. And so, yeah, the idea of walking around here and then there being, say, like 3 big towns on the edge, and they each look different. So this one's got mountains or whatever, and this one's got, I don't know why I'm doing big crosses or gravestones or whatever. And then that's got a big head of Howard the Duck, right? There you go. Right, whatever it is. So that is actually quite cool. And you know, whether you tie that into fast travel or whatever, but the idea of being able to see things. And this happens, Zelda Breath of the Wild is pretty good at it. In fact, it's something that I noticed. Yeah, lots of churches. Now turn the loops into Mobius strips. Yay! That'll work well. I sense Clocktown Majora's Mask vibes. Oh yeah, sorry, of course. Majora's Mask itself is a town in the middle, and there's basically 4 different areas which lead you to 4 different temples around. But you can always look back, right? And those things interest me a lot, right? I want to do world building, story building, okay? I don't just want it to be like what the game I was thinking. Right, I'm actually going to try and find this out. Right, so it was on PS Plus, game, side scroller into out of foreground. Come on, someone help me. That's a terrible description. I don't really know what it is. Dawn of the Undead Duck. Yes. Yes.
I'm Yuna Kim, and I'm the founder of Simple Habit. My day starts...
No. Oh, that was an interesting one. Not that I actually ended up liking it. There's one that you go into and out of. But the one I was thinking of in particular... no, can't see it there. Thanks 4763HHF and Gossen and Nairo62. Why am I missing these follows? Sorry guys, thank you very much. No, I can't see it there. It was a space setting. Whatever. Yeah, this one, Mutant Mud Super Challenge. I think this is one where you go into and out of the background. And I like it, right? Super Paper Mario has it. Oh, okay, yeah. Fair enough. So it's not that uncommon. There's no point me showing the other game about it. But, yeah, Apotheon was an interesting side-scroller. It went for a very distinct style, and I don't think it worked. As a game, I think it failed. Not because... Well, the style was... This is a very quick thing, so I'm just going to make a very quick point. This is where there's an interesting style. They've done something very different. But the trouble is, the style wasn't tweaked to make the game easier to play. Like, I found it a very noisy game. I couldn't actually work out what I wanted to do. Like, when you think of like something like Zelda, Super Mario, it's very clear which are foreground and background elements and stuff and what you should be doing. And here, I didn't find that the case. I actually got a bit overwhelmed by it. Anyway, get rid of that. So, I'll stop talking about that. Feeling a small part of something big. That appeals to me. Yes, we talked about that. So, talk about bits. Small, short things to do. So, what's on the table now? Right. So we've got some form of side scroller, charity game, something in diorama, something in Unity. Untitty. No, that's not right, is it? So what can I do quickest? Well, what would be... Is Puzzle 3D already there? Well, the Puzzle 3D needs me to learn Unity better. So Puzzle 3D, definitely something I want to do. So maybe once a month I should be writing GDDs for these games to work out the cost, etc. Turn them into a pitch for a publisher. Yeah, so GDDs, game design docs, are the kind of things that you would filter into a pitch to a publisher, and they're pretty good ideas. Is diorama not portable? How do you mean, XP Coin? What's on the table now? Side scroller. Right, so I'm gonna just cut to the chase. Right, I think the side scroller, it really is down. The next thing for me to work on, either 48 hours or something, or set myself these short goals, is probably, I do want to keep looking at Unity. So I do want to keep looking at Unity. But I also want to head towards one of these other projects. That's genuinely what I feel like. So 2 days a week. Is this enough to do 2 things? Maybe I learn Unity off stream. Don't recognise this music. Molduga Battle. Oh, I think I didn't get there. Is diorama portable to consoles? Definitely, yes. Right. So, side scroller. If I was to do the side scroller, very cut down, small level, hyper detailed experiment, cutscene. Maybe not. Maybe not. Don't coordinate everything. Don't coordinate everything. Charity game. Hello, Black the Bard. Yeah, I mean, fortunately, diorama is really basic C++ and its graphical requirements aren't high, so it's not that diorama is a product that would get ported to console in its current format, but it is actually a good candidate for conversion, unlike others. So, charity game. All right, small investiture, large. Okay, so the charity game, to make the base engine, this would be C++, is very simple, right? That's important. Large cost comes from coordinating the 50 plus other devs on it. So the charity game, who of you remember the charity game I was talking about? I think I need to keep looking at Unity, not just for 3D stuff, but in case it could be really useful for 2D stuff. Does it give me what I want? So an example would be, just because I'm doing a 2D side scroller doesn't, and even if the graphics are planar, meaning they could be SNES style graphics. Hello, I mean to fast. You might still want them to be proper 3D things for or 3D models or whatever, for effects, for shadow casting, whatever it is, right? What is the question? What's the question? All right. So I don't think I should rule out Unity, but the question is, do I take a look at the charity game or do I do a side scroller? And the side scroller, so okay, so to break this down even more, what would be goals or milestones? Okay, so single screen, player can move around the screen. So that would be like a milestone 1, right? You just got a single screen, player can move around it. That is really like 2 days work, 4 days work, whatever it is. You need to load textures, load a map. So load a map, render it, have collision, very basic physics. Okay, so that would be the first one as an example. What does a charity mean? All right. I'll expand on the charity game in a minute. I've mentioned it before, but it's something I've had an idea now for a decade, which means I'm not that charity driven, right? Because I would have done it. But and then for a milestone, you might have other characters after that. Start adding time of day, lots of details, whatever it is. Parallax. I don't really know, but the point is that this actually does have. Oh, hang on. That's Korok. That's in the Lost Woods. This, I think, is it? Yes, Korok Forest Day. Cool. I know my stuff. And gives it to Rob as an act of charity. Yeah, it's where I steal money from other people. It's where I go out on the street and mug charity collectors. Yes. But the point is that even like. This is a dangerous point, right? Because this is exactly the sort of thing where I could kid to myself it's worth using C++, right? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But this doesn't automatically seem like a good use for Unity. But this is why I should, even if I was to write this myself, might be a fallacy, but bearing in mind, I don't know what Unity's 2D stuff like is, or if 3D maps to 2D. I know it's got its own 2D kind of engine. But that's why I should keep looking at it, because this would be, the goal of this isn't to produce a releasable game. It's to show, does it satisfy me to make it, and does it hit my goals? Because in my mind, I can do amazing things, right? But that's like all of us can, in our mind, all of us can make an amazing film, right? Because I've seen enough films and I know about action sequences and I know about, plot structure. But actually, if you try and make it, it ain't going to happen, right? So not all of us are actually able to do the things we want. So I need to protect myself from that. Because what if it turns out I try to write stories and I'm rubbish at it, right? I'd rather know that sooner rather than later, and then I can choose to either improve, go on courses, or carry on and say the world is wrong and then write a big blog post on it and then get kicked off Steam or something like that. I don't know. Right. So what's the charity game? How many of you remember my charity game description? This is why I have to wait like 2 minutes because of some of you got slow connections. No, I won't. Right. So, charity game. Imagine that's your screen. Imagine dividing your screen up into a grid like that. Not a clue. Brilliant. No one remembers a blind word I ever spoke. Right. So divide your 1080p screen up into squares. Still no code? No, normal one. No code. Ever. And imagine if each one of these squares was itself a game. Right? Yeah, my grid drawing is amazing, right? So every one of these, there's a little box. It's got a little border. And inside is a little game. Now, what can you do in a little game like that? Well, you could do noughts and crosses or chess. Or, this is the design challenge for the developers, is that they would do a little side scroller or something and little guys running around. Now, like the platformance stuff, you can zoom in if you want more detail. Or you could have a little golf game, maybe 3D, 2D. It doesn't really matter. Whatever works, given they're going to be like 128 by 128 pixels, whatever. My 720p screen. Well, you're at fault there. If you buy this game, it comes with a 1080p monitor. But the point is here is that each of these, some of the games might be trivial and not even worth playing. Haha, we come back to that later. Or they themselves, like, imagine one of the games actually ends up being 2x2, right? So you've got a bit more real estate. Suddenly you could do a little Zelda Game Boy style game, right? Again, not technically that difficult, but you can worry more about the gameplay. What if a game was an odd shape like this? Maybe that's the golf game. Maybe we've got the golf here. And there's a guy with a club. All right, I probably shouldn't do this. And you've got your golf info down here, like wind speed, whatever. But generally, it's divided into a grid. And the big point here is that each game is developed by a different programmer. So if it's for charity and I make an API simple, I am pretty sure I could send this out to some pretty famous programmers who, in a couple of evenings over the course of a month, would do a game. So this game, just the whole idea is to sell it for charity. It's got loads of little games in it, and it's got some famous names attached to it. Not mine, because yeah. Well, that's the game, and then there's the meta game, right? So what can we do with this? Well, what if each of the games has got a different color border, right? So that's a red game. That could be a red game too. And that's a green game. So these, I would love to have lots of the meta game, right? So what if, when you're Zelda, you're playing your little Zelda game, you could have Donald Trump endorse it. Yes, that's probably the best idea ever. Get out. And what if the boss monster is an ice monster, right? So we've got a big growler. He's a big monster. He's got big teeth, which look rubbish. He's got eyes, and he's over there. There. Big monster. He's an ice monster. What if, to kill him, you have to rearrange to get all the red games around him? So if you slide that to the right, slide that down here, then this side here is going to become hot. So as an example, based on the color of the games next to you, it would change this game. So if you have the red things next to the edge, they become fiery, which allows you to push him back into the fire and kill him, right? What if the monster's strength is based on how well the computer's doing at tic-tac-toe, right? You may not even know this. You may have to work it out, right? So you may have to go and quickly, in a fight, go and jump through to here. Go and start playing this game. This is still running in the background, so you have to hide your character maybe over here. Go and play a game of noughts and crosses, which will weaken him. And then you rush back to this game while he's still moving around and go in and twat him then, right? What if there's a meta game where your character in this platformer can actually go into the golf game? What if there's, unbeknownst to you, but like these borders have got, like, some of them have got little ladders, and part of the game involves creating, like, when you take a ladder and connect it to the top, a little guy climbs down and starts walking around the games, on top of the games, and your job then is to rearrange them so that 5 guys can climb down and walk across and find a way to the bottom all at the same time. A bit like Lemmings, right? So yeah, those things interest me quite a lot. So the idea of making a game made up of other games, that's actually quite straightforward. And then the hard part is making sure other game devs stick to the restrictions in the virtual console and make the games, right? That's a logistical issue. And then the meta games, that would be another layer of work on top. Donald Trump's Chapter 11.5. I so don't know what that... What? I don't even know what the joke was. Sorry, mate. And that's the charity game, right? Now, this would have to be written in C++ because Because to run whatever it is, you could have 40 games plus running at once, and they need to be able to run quite quickly, right? So any game where you're not in total control of resources, CPU slicing, and you need that control. Plus, I'm going to be a complete pig here. Getting the games done in C++ would attract a certain kind of caliber of programmer that I think could stick within the constraints better. So that cheers me up. So that's the charity game. And probably because each game is too small to... So these are my thoughts. Because each game is too small to actually have a heads-up display or an OSD, have some of these that are reserved, like a 3x1 set of these that are reserved for whatever game is currently active. It's got your heads-up display on it, right? So that would change, and you could do things like have a scrolling message one or whatever it is. Hello, Zekrons. In diorama, right? Nah. Does all this mean you will stream Much Man, Super Duper, many more often than before? Well, the barrier to me streaming regularly is one is outside life, contract work, physical health, right? And those aren't going to change. Not really. The other thing is, am I invested? Do I enjoy it? Do I see an end to a product? And the answer is, well, that's what I'm trying to work out. I have these ideas that are not really technology based. They're about the end goal. And that is, if I can make them small, quickly, low risk, then I am far more likely to want to do it, to want to stream. So nominally, I have 2 days a week to stream. But obviously, if you enjoy what you're doing massively, you will do more of it, right? There you go. Have we chosen an engine yet, or have I missed that part? Well, so the problem here, side scroller, I've been talking C++, and the charity game is C++. And if I'm picking between these two, I've somehow engineered a situation where I'm not, it's C++, which is pretty ridiculous, which is why I think I need to keep looking at Unity as well. Or I use Unity for the 2D side scroller to start with. So Unity, if a lot of programmers are involved, is there going to be spaghetti code? Well, this is where dealing with a virtual console becomes quite interesting, because even though technically they're in C++, if you give them a very narrow API to use, the actual damage they can do with bad code is very, very limited. Plus, if they're smaller games, then that's going to limit it as well. So the trick is, as somebody writing the overall game API or the virtual console that these guys will interact with, is steer them towards simpler games, safer code, lower memory usage, all of that. So everyone would have budgets. So the idea if you're writing the charity game and you do auto start A equals new A, right? I could make this an error. Make this an error. Whoa. So they would have to actually do something like A star equals my game allocator A, that sort of thing, right? Or I could even do it new, something like that, right? Which means that we can now force everybody to use their own allocator. We have control on fragmentation, on total memory usage, all that sort of stuff. So we can totally force them. So the reason I wouldn't be using Pico 8 is because of the requirements of wanting to run 40 of these things at once. Yeah. Well, raw pointers. Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty bad idea. Yes, you're absolutely right. But giving allocators to smart pointers would be the way to go. But I'm more worried. I'm more worried about actual code. No, it's gone. It's gone. Yeah, you could almost give them just a Pico 8 style environment. Tall and happy. That's exactly the idea. Yes. Just quit your contract and get your job where you work with a Windows laptop, so you can work faster and come home earlier. Yeah, and what, earn half as much as I do right now? Get lost. I have to repeat, I am in such a good position with this current contract job. I'm good at it. It's what they need. It's part-time, my choice, and it pays a lot. Anything that jeopardizes that is ridiculous, right? Yeah. Yeah, I should have done auto A equals how do we do this? Do you know what? I can't even remember. That's how bad it is. So make unique a type, and there's probably an allocator, my allocator version. Yeah, so something like that. So anything that does a raw global new, we can actually put an assert on. So when they're developing the game, they simply aren't allowed to do that into their global heap space. Simply prevent them doing that. So there's some cool things, and don't give them full access to the OpenGL context. Go via a proxy object and stuff like that. Yeah. So what I might do right this minute, what do you guys know about Unity's 2D stuff? Because I know nothing other than it includes it.
In Unity 4.3, we're launching our first set of 2D features. To complement this, we've constructed a demo project with these tools. Our 2D platformer is nicknamed Tower Bridge Defense. It depicts London's Tower Bridge in the midst of an alien
So what I'd be interested here,
physics-driven 2D sample level.
Right, I'll shut him up. The thing that interests me, what do I need to gain from a 2D Unity thing? And that is player character control. Now, my limited experience of Unity, the 3D stuff. Oh, Make Unique has no allocator. You have to write your own Make Unique for custom allocators. Oh, damn it. Okay, fair enough. It's getting there slowly. It's decent enough if you're looking to quickly figure out where you want to go and if it's a long-term interest. Yeah, and if it's long-term interest. Yeah, so it seems viable. So my problem with Unity 3D is also the player control, right? These are incredibly subjective things that can totally change the style of gameplay, how it feels, player reactions, satisfaction, and just how much complex stuff you can do with it. So if you take a character like Mario, his control scheme is very complex, right? And I know that you can drag and drop in a player character behavior because I did it the other day on stream. But if you can't tweak it or overhaul it easily, then it's actually working against you. And I don't know. All I know is I've heard things that it's quite hard to do. But the 2D one could be straightforward. And I don't know.
And then moved his bodily and then the character's sprite of our animation makes it easier than ever to adjust timing and design. Our hero has a circle collider at his feet and a box collider to cover the rest of his body outline. This means he can smoothly walk up and down hills, and when he jumps, his head will hit the ceiling. In order to control the character and its animations, we wrote a script that moves him via 2D physics forces. This means that we can apply physics to him and the enemies during the game for more dynamic gameplay. In our player control script for the character, we check for player input.
No. But I mean, he's got him running up and down. Things. Maybe I should let's just load up Unity and see what it does, right? I have no idea. Well, Raymarch, yeah, exactly, that's it. So Raymarch, one of the deals is oh, I have to sign into Unity again. Why? Thanks, mate.
The fixed update function evaluates with each physics step. And the first thing we do with this is to feed the value of...
Oh, hang on, I've just got to log in.
...speed parameter of our animator. The transition between idle and run in our simple state machine requires that the speed parameter is above 0.1. When it is, the animator blends from idle into the run state. We then go on to add forces to the player's 2D physics component, the rigid body 2D, in order to move him around. We also handle which direction the character is facing, based on the value of horizontal input, checking whether it is above...
What is going on here?
This is because in Unity, holding the left input key returns a value of...
Sorry, logging into Unity is not seeming to work. It asks for my sodding email.
We then call a simple flip function, which reverses the X scale of the character, giving him the appearance of facing the opposite direction. To decide whether the player is grounded, we added a layer in Unity called Ground, and applied it to all of our walkable foreground surfaces.
Okay, so... Alright, I have just managed to load up Unity. I need the loo.
The ground layer is below the character's feet.
Let's have a look.
More easily, we created
I do have a Unity account.
a point at which to check for the ground. By adding a gizmo to this empty object.
Right, well, I'm not going to leave that running while I go to loo. I will be back in a minute. Be right back. Alright, back again. And it's exceedingly hot. The trouble is, every time I open the windows, I dislodge about 200 dead spiders. It's my fault for keeping them there. Right. So look, Cuphead. What about Cuphead? Where are we talking? Hyperlight Drifter was made in Unity 2D, was it? A single screen side scroller can definitely be done in Unity. Yes, yes. Well, I think Grayslow, eventually I'd want to move past the single screen, but that's a deliberate choice to limit it, to keep me focused on trying out depth rather than breadth. Best town music in Botwa. Rito Village, yeah. Oh, I like the music for the water place that I've now forgotten. Sod it. Right, what else? Cuphead was though right. Oh, is Cuphead in Unity? Zora's Domain, yes. Am I new in Unity? Yeah, I would say I really don't know much about it. Let me see if this tutorial... What I want is, let me see if... Transcripts. What I'm hoping is that we can download this. Is there a demo with this? Doesn't look like it. Hang on, I might actually have to listen to this.
In Unity 4.3, we're launching our first set of 2D features. To complement this, we've constructed a demo project with these tools. Our 2D platformer is nicknamed Tower Bridge Defense. It depicts London's Tower Bridge in the midst of an alien invasion. It's a completely sprite-based, physics-driven 2D sample level that we hope will help you understand how 2D games are put together in Unity. This video will discuss the background and foreground construction, characters, effects, camera tracking, animation, and scripting used in the demo. To begin with, let's discuss the basics of working in 2D in Unity. Firstly, when working in 2D, you should set the editor behavior mode to 2D for various settings. This can be done when making a new project using the drop-down on the project wizard, or during a project by choosing Edit Project Settings Editor from the top menu. This means that by default, textures will be imported as sprites, and the scene view will default to 2D mode. This new mode gives you a completely orthographic view in which to construct 2D games. It also hides the usual 3D gizmo in the top right of the view, giving you more space to work in. Aside from these settings, the workflows for 2D have been designed to mirror existing Unity approaches to 3D game creation.
You can download in the marketplace in Unity. Oh, thanks. That's very useful. Alright, let's go and have a look. Unity Asset Store. Alright, what was this called? 2D Game Development Walkthrough. Let's do a search for that. Get lost. Alright, let's try that again. Nope. Oh yeah, I can do it there, can't I? But I keep forgetting to do it there. Basically, I'm still not that used to it. Right, search. 2D game development walkthrough. I'm pretty sure this isn't going to... No. Maybe the game's got a name itself. There's a load of 2D game file downloads on that link. Was there? I'm not sure there are a load of download links. Like, I mean, it takes me back here, but it doesn't have a link, as from what I can see. Let me just get rid of some of this rubbish, by the way. Let's hide that. Oh, you're prat. I've actually managed to close the window. That was stupid. You have to go to the sessions. Sorry. Yeah, but I mean, if I go here, what am I missing? Is there a button somewhere else? Or do I have to go here? So this one isn't going to give it to us, I assume. Oh, sorry. I could well believe I've missed something, so it's worth me searching. To be honest, I'm equally happy. Let's just go and get let's just download something. All right, doesn't really matter what. What the hell? Okay, 2D tutorial. Fine. That's got a pew pew. No, that sounds awful. 2D online platformer. 2D endless space game. No, just give me game tutorial generator. Okay. Oh, come on. Platformer Pro. Well, that costs money. Do I have to... Oh, I hate this store. It's just so rubbishly laid out. That's my considered opinion after using it. And I'm never wrong. Let's go and see what this rubbish is. Sarah Donamara, thanks for following. Oh, I missed 4763HHF. Did I say? Oh, yeah. Thanks for following. Do I really want to... Using the creature animation tool. That sounds overly complex. I just want something simple. All right. Oh, I'm going to regret this, aren't I? The fact that it's called Pew Pew doesn't really inspire me, but... Oh, he's got me a link. Fantastic. Hang on. Does that work? Nope. Yay! All right. All right. Oh, you guys are giving me some more links. Okay, let's go and look for that. I'll just get them all. Don't know. Download everything. Yay! Thank you very much. I see clear reference to GNU Linux. No, you're wrong. All right. I still have to click download on the roguelike thing. Oh, okay, well I'll go back to that. But I've got the one I no, I don't think I did actually, but I've got the one that I wanted anyway because it matches the tutorial. Right. Oh, this looks good, doesn't it? Oh, it's an import package. Oh, flipping heck, it's not an actual. There we go. Is that going to work? Great, I'm stuck. Right, let's all right, well that was rubbish. That's immediately uninspiring. What? 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 Right, well. Right, well this has all of the fun of a painful trip to the toilet. But, right, what does it show? Honestly, I have no idea. Well, it shows that... so let's go and have a look and see how hard it is to update things. So there is a main point here in that we should probably stick in 3D. Oh, I see. It just doesn't... It doesn't have a game cycle. Right, but let's go and have a look. Main foregrounds. Platform bridge. So platform. So I think we're looking here at the polygon to edit. Yeah, okay, fair enough. So it's let's try that. Yeah. So okay, so the ability to create a change the collision mesh, that is quite a big deal actually. Now I could imagine that this Unity has all sorts of problems, or they haven't really factored in. Oh, the character control on this is awful. Just so imprecise after coming off of SNES games and stuff. I can imagine, like, if you wanted different creatures with dealing with different collisions. Like, what the hell was that jump? How did I manage a super jump? That is awful. Really, really. Everything goes against everything I want about precise control. It feels like arse. And this reminds me of the kind of horrible kind of Flash-based games. It's not really fair to criticise Flash, but I will anyway. Where the fact that you're bouncing against these guys, it's just awful. I know that you can set up collision groups and stuff, but anyway, if you want to go 2D, you should definitely check out Godot Engine. Well, I kind of, at this early stage, I don't really want to broaden the range of engines I'm trying to learn. I think I should probably stick with Unity and find out stuff, because as I said, like, there's probably like collision groups to deal with this. I think it's important for me. How am I jumping so high? What is going on with this physics? Alright, so I can jump. I can jump as high as that. Alright. Okay, so I can jump as high as that cloud. Alright. So I basically want to get a feel for what's rubbish about this. Actually, let me pause this and change the collider. So let's go and stick this back, because I did obviously balls this up. Right. So I have a feeling that there's acceleration when you're going up there. Yeah, look. So. I mean, look, I'm from down here, I'm jumping nearly as high. So I don't know whether that's automatic or a part of the 2D physics, but it sucks. That is horrible kind of acceleration, and it feels really arbitrary, and yeah, that immediately worries me, because it's very similar to the problems you have in 3D. I mean, look at that. That is just, that's not fun. So arbitrary. Right, so I'm immediately critical of their 2D stuff, but whether that's because the tutorial just doesn't cater for everything, I don't know. The idea that you can get stuck under people or whatever. Let's see if I can muck this up. Yeah, I mean, that's just got no sense of weight or anything. Awful. Right, brilliant. Right, let's have a look and see what you wrote. What are we looking at, Grace Slow? Right, 2D platformer character controller. Cool. Add folder. Unity. Sods up, balls that one up. Right. Okay, I'll check that one out later, because I'm probably going to start wrapping up the store. What I've done, so what's nice about Unity, right, is that it does have the collision stuff, and this polygon collider, right, that is really useful. The is trigger material used by effector composite. I don't know what any of those are. Points, paths. There's some interesting stuff here in the... That looks uneditable. No idea what that is. But I'd want to be able to snap these to a grid, because obviously... What is going on here? Why can't we... What the hell? I don't know. It looks like it's automatically tessellating it, but I don't understand why it's putting it into convex polygons when they're not needed. How do I get rid of that? Right, it won't let me get rid of that, so it thinks it's necessary. That is weird. So it seems important that it tessellates. Yeah, it creates convex polygons, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe there's a maximum. Oh, that would be a funny thing. Look. So by having this non-useful thing, we've actually reduced the number of polys. Oh, it's because that's convex. Yeah, I can kind of understand that, but that is rubbish. Alright, okay. Fascinating. Isn't this project years out of date? It is. Oh, okay. Right, if you want to go 2D, you should definitely check out God Art Engine. I'll put a link to it, but as I said, I'm probably not going to look at that for now. I'm actually going to stick that with Unity, because I'll rename that. Stuff. What I learn. Alright. Alright, what else? It's probably just their controller being wonky. Look at the actual code before you judge the Cortex. Yes, you're right. Yes. It's before the collision detection advanced, I think. Okay, cool. Well, I'm glad. The thing is, right, is that being able to... Writing a good character controller is something that you do once, right? So the cost of getting a good character controller is paid once. So I'll just repeat myself needlessly there. That adds emphasis, right? However, designing and tweaking levels is an ongoing cost. So the fact that you can create those things and just drag around these is brilliant, right? However, Polygon Collider 2D. So Unity Polygon Collider 2D snap to grid. Can we do? Didn't type it. Unity Polygon Collider snap to grid. Oh, I didn't put 2D in. Okay, well that seems... Can I get 2D? So one of the things I would be looking for is I would want to be... Yeah, you see this game here. It's got like axis aligned walls, 45 degrees. And I actually prefer platformers that have those really obviously discrete angles for the platforms. The kind of free-form flowing games, don't ask me why, it doesn't interest me. And I also think it leads, like especially if physics are involved, it leads to really arbitrary rules. And arbitrary rules, like if this slope is 5 degrees and this one's 6 degrees, and that launches me at a high enough velocity to make a jump that you can't at 5 degrees. Those are making the gameplay, the player's reasoning about the state of the world and what is achievable becomes very arbitrary, because I can't visually tell the difference between a 5 degree and a 6 degree angle, but I can certainly tell one of them will help me make a jump and the other one won't. And you'd be like, well, that's rubbish. Right. Control plus axis drag on selections. I'm not sure that's going to work on here, but let's try it anyway. Maybe it will. Whoa! No, because that's the delete button. Whoa! And so is the Windows key. Why is the Windows key actually in use here? Yeah, that's not quite right. By the way, the collider shapes can be auto-generated from sprites. That's not a manual task. Oh, okay, so that might have been auto-generated. That sounds awful for what I'd want to do. See, that hasn't... That... Hang on. Why is that still highlighted? What is going on here? It's got the foregrounds. Oh, okay, because... Is there something up here I can snap? I wouldn't even know where to find these things. What? Yep, that's going to overwhelm me. Why couldn't I edit that? Oh, sorry, I need to click that. Yes, I do. Yeah, shift. It's making no difference. Control is for delete, as is the Windows key. That's very odd. Whoa, I didn't mean to do that. But why do you care about the way it's tessellated? Very much. To be honest, I generally don't. But as an aside, that a badly tessellated object like was showing there means it's got more stuff to check, right? If you've got to check against 50 polygons when you might only need to check against 30, you know, that's a mind. It's not really a big deal. It was just one of the things where I saw it, it was odd, and it was like, It was very like, meh. That is weird. Yeah, maybe their polygons have a max of 5 sides. That definitely looks like it's happening. Although, yeah, right. I can't get that to snap, so that's a big deal for me. Here we go. If you hold V while clicking... if you make a plane with divisions that match your grid... Nope. So it looks like it doesn't. Yeah, that's unsurprisingly not it. Okay, so there's something to be fixed there. It's not actually a problem to start with. I'll look at that tutorial for the character controller. I could definitely steal the assets off of this. That would be kind of cute. And what's interesting about this, if I run this, is that, you know, I talked about like having a living world. Well, in a small way, this does exactly that, because there's buses that go by in the background and birds that fly. Now, there we go. That's the sort of silly thing that I would be looking to do. Just loads more of it. Look, I can shoot things. All right, so I definitely will carry on. Oh, that was terrible. So one of the downsides of this physics implementation was that I tried to jump while running down a slope and it didn't work, which is probably to do with whether it's working out if I'm falling or attached. So it worked that time, but yeah. So games like Super Metroid and Mario, the moment you go down on a slight slope, you don't float, you're still technically attached. See, I could jump then, but whoa. Whoa! That is rubbish of the first caliber. So yeah, so I need to look at the character controller to see what is being done there. Almost certainly you can damp the jump height. You don't have to attach it to its current velocity. Which when you're going up a ramp has an up component. But the idea of whether you drop or stick to when you change from going horizontally to a slope down, those are the kind of things that I do want to be in control of. And let's be blunt, you almost certainly can do it, and this is old, blah, blah, blah. Right. So, guys, I am probably going to head off now. I think it makes sense to investigate this to start with, right? It seems to be able to satisfy my creative stuff. I will learn a bit more about Unity. The big deal about... You see, the thing that could kill using Unity on any project is if you cannot make the main character fun and responsive the way you want to. I have heard enough to know that it's not always trivial to do that, but then I've played games like... what's it called? Oh, flipping heck, I've forgotten. The black and white game. Inside. Yeah, the Inside platformer. And that was Unity. And that controlled nicely. So it clearly is possible. But the idea of, like, if instead of writing loads and loads of tech for spending loads of time writing a character controller, that would actually be a bit annoying. Yeah, you guys know this game, don't you? Oh, well, this is going to stream really well. It's all black and white. Yeah. To be honest, this actually isn't the sort of game that's got Super Metroid and Mario levels of precise character control. It's, yeah. Right, No Mum 1412. Tragic, but thanks for following. A bit like Limbo. Yeah, it's by the same guys. Rust game is also made in Unity and it's really well played. Okay, YouTube. What? Rust keeps cropping up and I don't actually know what game. Rust game, Unity. Oh, okay, so Rust is 3D. Alright. Building system like Rust. No, let's get rid of... Fastest start ever, is it? Yeah, it's interesting because this shows like where Unity's strengths and weaknesses, right? Because this looks really good, right? The level of detail is high. There's grass. There's tree. Sorry, mate, you're muted. The level of detail is high. It's all running fast. You know, this looks really technically very competent. But in terms of style, this could be... Why is he naked? This could be any one of like 30 good quality Unity games. And that's a bit sad, because if I look at something like the level of detail, a game that... If you look at this scenery, right, I'm going to go and find Firewatch, which is also Unity, I believe. And... first day playthrough. But it's used stylized graphics, and it's much, much nicer for it. Much, much nicer. Let me find a bit where you're travelling around the scenery. Yeah, so it's actually lower detail, but this it's a bit like The Witness. It's kind of got a pastel-y colour scheme. It's non-realistic. Well, to be honest, it's 70% realistic. Right? Yeah. Rust is the best game ever made in Unity, so that's great. Well, you need to know how to optimize. Am I back later? I might well be, because I want to have a look at the 2D stuff. But to be honest, this is a bit of a nice digression at the end. This is the difference between stylized graphics and non. And Firewatch is a very, very pretty game. And I'd say The Witness is slightly more stylized than that. So if we go to The Witness, PS4. Let's get you out into the garden. Yeah, so this is even more pastel-y, and it's quite low poly in many cases, but I think it's got a wonderful style. I just like it, but then I always like... And Overwatch is a bit similar, but it allows for like really good contrasting colour because you're not worrying about realism. right? So you're in full control of all of this, and art direction is a really big deal. And Rust, I would say, is very low on the art direction scale and looks accordingly. It's still a good game and it still looks good, but I am more interested in these more stylized games. I also think these things age better. Different expectations and all that. Oh, don't want to look at the puzzles. Yeah. It's interesting because The Witness is the sort of game that could have been done in Unity. Whether you'd want to or not, I have no idea. Right. What are we looking at now? What's this? Super Lucky's Tale. Oh, this is the Xbox. Yeah. I'll tell you what's interesting about this is that this is the kind of bright platformer palette and it uses the rounded stuff and all that. But I actually think this is less charming. Like, this feels a bit more like this style by numbers. So if I go back, I remember looking at Jak and Daxter. Jak and Daxter. Oh, man. Jak and Saxter. That's exactly what I meant to write. Oh, this is interesting. Why is it PS4 versus PS3? Oh, PS2, surely. PS2 versus PS4. I don't know about the remake. Let's go and have a look. Oh my goodness, they've got PS4, PS3, Vita and PS2. That's crazy. Oh, I so should buy this. Actually, this is terrible because they're not moving. Come on. I'm still going to look at it in PS2. Yeah, so the start of the game has a really nice fly through, I think. Yeah, so actually I think this is whatever. Just wanted to show you what's possible. Okay, so I'm missing a conversation, but that's okay. I think Unity is good for indie studios. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, Jak and Daxter. This is PS... Oh, no, this is the HD remake. Okay, okay. But anyway, charm, style, these are important to me. High-res fidelity graphics, not so much. Guys, I'm going to head off. Is there anyone I can host who's looking interesting? I probably will be back later today. I'm going to go and do some gardening and eating. We've got Wheeze. We've got... Actually, I'm not sure I recognise anyone else here. Anyone else I should stream on Game Dev? Does anybody know these? Wobbly Trout. I think I know that name. I may have looked at him before. So Wheeze does good. He's all right on his game as well. But I'm interested in finding somebody else. Someone's knitting there. Do you know what? That might be alone enough for me to host them. All right, I'll host this person. I have no idea what they're doing, but there's knitting. Guys, thanks very much. For all the people who subscribed as well, thank you. Teasel wasn't here. No Teasel party. But one day. Actually, is Lol Cool Cat, is he streaming? I'm spelling it wrong. Is that the right? Have I spelled it right? Is he streaming? What? Oh, he's offline. Alright, I won't stream that. Alright, guys. Thank you, Emmy. That's great. Yeah, I'm an old... Look at the grey in that. I'm old. Alright, see you later, guys. Thank you very much.